All right, Miles, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs here for a little bit. Look, we all know the Chiefs are one of the top contenders in football. Once again, probably the top contender. And that is the case and will continue to be the case as long as Patrick Mahomes is running the ship at the quarterback position. But I think people don't understand exactly what and how special Mahomes has been and everything he's accomplished specifically in the details over the last 4 or 5 years and what it means for the future of the Chiefs. We've got a few interesting reports highlighting some of the intricacies, some deep dive analytics about how amazing Patrick Mahomes has been and how unprecedented territory we are right now. And I think Chiefs fans will really appreciate this stuff.
Yeah, Nick, as we dive further into the offseason, there's less to talk about, so we're going to dig deeper into the stats, and I really like the story that you dug up today. I think it's going to be really insightful for the Chiefs fans, very interesting. But, speaking of stats and speaking of the ever-changing Chiefs team, let's talk about who do you think in the history of the Chiefs made the biggest change from year one to year two? Who's a guy who kind of started out really slow but then exploded onto the scene, made that true year two jump? Let us know in the comments below which Chiefs player made the biggest jump from year one to year two in the comments section below. But Nick, let's get on into it and talk about, again, how special Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah, Miles, let's go ahead and not waste any time. Go ahead and throw up the tweet. This is from Warren Sharp. It came across my feed earlier today. And this is Warren Sharp's a really smart guy. Does a lot of great analytics work. Highly recommend anyone read any of his books or follow him on Twitter. And this is a wild stat, according to him, he pulled up, and it is an incredible stat. Here is the average length of Patrick Mahomes' touchdown passes if you go back the past 4 seasons. 2019, as you can see, it was 17.3 air yards. Pretty deep. 2020, 13, a little less. 2021, 8.5. And last season, 4.5. Last year, Mahomes threw 41 touchdowns. Only one of those touchdowns traveled more than 19 yards. Now, what does this all mean, Mice? Of course, it's an indication of how great Patrick Mahomes is, the fact he's able to be that productive without having the same big play threats like Tyreek Hill, for example, earlier in his career. But what jumps out the page to me, Mice, is that this is a guy talking about Patrick Mahomes where it literally does not matter what the defense does. It doesn't matter the personnel, right? He had Tyreek Hill early in his career. He puts up a lot of big plays. Teams go to the two deep. They adjust. Tyreek Hill leaves. Mahomes adjusts again. It doesn't seem to matter. Mahomes gets it done. He is so adaptable and so incredibly effective and proficient at what he's able to do at the quarterback position, regardless of what the defense does, regardless of what he has around him. It's almost like one of these Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James kind of athletes where it doesn't matter what everybody else does. They will dominate the game. And I think that's what we're seeing from Mahomes here, Miles. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the stat. And I know you've got another report to kind of highlight some of this stuff. But before I throw it over to you, I want to remind everyone to stay tuned to the end of the video to hear more from our partner in today's video, and that is Neuro. They've got a lot of great products. They give you a fast and quick and simple boost of energy. So make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video to learn more about Neuro and to get access to our special discount code. But Brian, what do you think of these Mahomes numbers and just everything with Mahomes and the Chiefs right now?
Yeah, it's really crazy if you think about it, Nick. It's almost kind of like unbelievable in a way because the team doesn't really change that much. And if they do change that much, it's hard to change and be as successful as we see here on the graph. It goes from 2019, the Super Bowl, to 2022, the Super Bowl, and just the stark difference in average
Completely
depth of
different,
target.
right? It's night and day.
Crazy. You can't go from long ball touchdowns, 17.3 yard touchdowns, to 4.5 yard touchdowns. It just shows that they're ever changing, and we see it. It's like his targets are ever changing as well. Obviously Travis Kelce is probably going to be the biggest target for the foreseeable future. But when we look in the wide receiver room, a few years ago, 2019, probably Tyreek Hill. Then this past year, it was Juju Smith-Schuster, but obviously Juju is gone. So that leaves the door open for yet another wide receiver to move into the rungs, Nick. And I think we have a report from CBS Sports talking about how much the chemistry between Sky Moore and Patrick Mahomes has developed over the offseason, talking about the undeniable trust that Mahomes has taken into Sky Moore over OTAs and minicamp. And this is the really key part here, Nick. They said Sky was one of the highest targeted receivers per Chiefs coach Andy Reid during minicamp. He had close to the most catches, and they said they think he's taking a good jump. The quarterback trusts him, and there's still a ton of room for him to climb. And he's very willing participant as well. So just talking about how Sky Moore has the most catches in minicamp, but they say there's still more room for him to grow. I think that's really impressive because once again, it shows another receiver comes into the fold for Mahomes and becomes a potential top target for him. It seems to change every single season, just like his air yards or average depth of target in his yards. What do you think about that, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because you're talking about a guy in Sky Moore who had 22 catches last season, right? I think he didn't have a regular season touchdown. I think his only touchdown all year was in the Super Bowl against Philly. So this is not a guy that, is, a number one, number two receiver statistically. Obviously, he's young. He could grow into that role. But we don't see Super Bowl top flight contenders have their number one targeted receiver in the offseason be not a Pro Bowl guy, not the top number one guy or number two guy, at least. Even the Patriots dynasty with Tom Brady in all those years, they had Gronk and they had Edelman. Guys who had Edelman had a 100-catch season. Gronk obviously being Gronk. Obviously, you can go back even further to other playoff teams in the Patriots that had other big name receivers, Wes Welker, Randy Moss, and go back to the really early days with the Troy Brown kind of guys. But they always seem to have at least a couple top flight receivers. The Chiefs' number one guy right now is a guy who had 22 catches last year. And I know Tony's good. Richie James seems like a good fit. And of course, they got Rashee Rice. He looks like going to be a good player as well. But their number one receiving threat, Mize, is the guy who caught 22 passes last season. And every single sports book in the world right now has the Chiefs the number one overwhelming favorite to win the Super Bowl next season. That's the power of Patrick Mahomes, Mize. It's just unbelievable. It's unprecedented in NFL history. All right, Mize, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Mize. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.